Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast, the number one source for news, analysis, and discussion on the Detroit Red Wings, the NHL, and all things hockey. Here are your hosts, Ryan Hanna, Brad Crisco, and Evan Lopsinger.
If you're an NHL player, would you be upset or honored if you got deked so bad that Mickey Redmond chuckled when you went sprawling on the ice as the Red Wings player danced around you?
I think that's the bullet point of how absolutely peaked you can be and how upset you are. There's getting danced for a bad goal. There's, this is going to end up on Don Cherry's Rock'em Sock'em video. And then there's Mickey Redmond laughing at you.
Yeah.
As much as you appreciate Mickey Redmond, that's like number one on the wall of shame.
Like, I think that was probably in the moment. It was type 2 fun for Logan Couture back in the day when he got his ankles broken on his birthday. But looking back now, there has to be some kind of like, maybe the most skilled player of all time. I'm on his career highlight reel and that was my birthday. Like, I don't know. Like Nikita Zadorov getting danced around by Alex DeBrincat as he like went around sprawling like he was one of the Scooby-Doo characters looking for her glasses on the ground.
Tough night for Zadorov.
Yeah, well, not
He got bullied by children.
Although that was a clean elbow he landed. Holy. I saw that slow-mo and I was like, geez.
Yeah, he got his money's worth.
Oh, yeah, that was... The best part was, you were like, are you kidding me? Like, he's not... Oh, no, yeah, he got 4 minutes and a 10, yeah. That was
probably the right call.
Did you also panic a little bit when it looked like him and Seider were singled out of the piles? Like,
Zadorov's stock's going down. Yeah. Seider's got to avoid a couple fights for a little bit, just go run some guys over, score some goals, get the stock going on the right way again.
Well, I mean, he did that game. And
yes.
He did by picking the right battles.
Yes.
All right. Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Here to talk to you about all things Detroit Red Wings hockey, the world of the NHL, redemption for Moritz Seider, and lots more. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Hanna.
I'm Brad Crisco.
And I'm Evan.
This episode of the Winged Wheel Podcast is brought to you by Greenlight Lending. If you currently own a home and need to save on the monthly payment, or if you're considering buying a home and don't know where to start, reach out to fellow listener and friend of the podcast, Nick, with Greenlight Lending. They offer no closing cost options and a range of unique products to help you in any situation. NMLS 2676683, an equal housing opportunity lender, licensed in Michigan and Virginia. Give Nick a call at 586-321-1888. On this episode of the Winged Wheel Podcast, we are going to be talking about Detroit's 5-4 win against the Boston Bruins. All the good things to come of that. The dicey things that came out of that is that score was a little bit closer than you may have anticipated with a certain amount to go in the game. Storylines from the Red Wings ranging from John Gibson to Moritz Seider and his stellar game to Lucas Raymond, Patrick Kane, Marco Kasper, whatever else we get into. And then there are notes abound about Quinn Hughes and a potential link to the Detroit Red Wings. So we're going to share what we've been hearing, based on the discourse that's out there and what's real and what's just noise. A lot going on in terms of Olympic preparation or
lack thereof.
Lack thereof, as we ask the age-old question, does size matter? And then whatever else we get into before overtime. I made Brad cringe, and it's not even the A block of the show, so this is a win for me.
You just got to get Brad to Italy, and it all makes sense.
2 seconds there. You need to speak to one customer service worker in Italy, and then everything will make absolute sense. Certain stereotypes you understand very quickly when you get to Italy. You're like, oh, yeah, that one's real. And I mean, that's the whole point right there with the Olympic Arena. Very quickly, patreon.com/wingedwheelpodcast if you want to support the show and join the Dub Club. You get access to benefits like our bonus overtime episodes. Last episodes was a doozy. It was a two-parter with Evan and I to start, and then Brad and I at the end, and that rant was, I thought it was a little unhinged, but you folks liked it.
You teed me up for it. It's your fault.
You also get access to our Patreon exclusive Discord, and you're automatically entered into all of our giveaways, plus an opportunity to sign up for a chance to win 2 tickets to every Detroit Red Wings home game, those going directly to our Patreon supporters. So again, patreon.com/wingedwheelpodcast for all of that and more. Redemption game against the Boston Bruins coming into the LCA after Boston physically dominated Detroit prior in a shootout win over Detroit in Boston. And Detroit had a big job. It's hard mentally as a fan to look at that game and say, oh, okay, there's an image of one of their depth players clocking one of Detroit's best players and dropping him. And, what are you going to do to respond to the physicality in the game they're going to try to bring? And all in all, not flawless, but all in all, much better overall team effort, I thought, from the Red Wings, headed by their best players in that game in an eventual 5-4 win.
Yeah, it wasn't a perfect game, but it was a heck of a lot better. A lot of the small things that they haven't been doing, and I know it's been a talking point, like getting to the net and stuff like that, they were doing a much better job of. They were shooting more. They're passing. I know it's not related to the intensity of everything, but it looked like they finally got their mojo back on the power play in terms of puck movement, passing, rotation. Was just one of the things that really stood out to me. A lot of scrums. There's that great picture the Wings social admin posted. Just Simon Edvinsson, hockey guy in the middle of the play with just blood streaming down his face. It's like, yeah,
that rules.
That rocks. That's
the
mentality this team needs to have. And it was only one game, but it was good to see it at least come back. Now, we know the issue with this team all year has been we've seen them do this a lot, and then it disappears for a couple games. So cautious optimism, but optimism nonetheless.
Yeah, we talked before of like, you can't really write off the Red Wings season just because there was a 4-game losing streak. And I mean, mathematically, you look at the standings and, we lost a bunch of games and you're 2 points out of it.
So did everybody else in the Atlantic.
Yeah, like it's mathematically you're still in it. And also, this isn't like previous seasons. We've seen the Red Wings play, honest to goodness, like really good hockey games this year, which is the difference between this year and years past. So, yeah, I mean, it's not to write off poor performances because Brad's completely right. The consistency in hanging on to the lessons and not playing whack-a-mole or not so many moles popping up at the same time in terms of, improving something in your game and not giving something else away. Those are all still very loud issues for the Red Wings that they have to address if they are to be a serious team. The loudest one being goaltending, which was on display this game. But, I mean, this was kind of like, I don't want to say a median performance for the Red Wings, but I think it certainly can be.
It was a quintessential Red Wings game for me. You got to see Red Wings win, which is always great. The best players for the Wings were the best players. You saw them almost blow a lead, and you saw some great physical, nasty type play. So it kind of got the whole package in that game. I was really impressed last night. I mean, we're going to go through it, I'm sure, but I thought Elmer Soderblom had like one of his best games as a Detroit Red Wing. Like, I know he didn't totally get on the score sheet, but he was very deliberate with the puck. I saw him hit a bunch of guys last night. Like, it looked like message was received. So we'll see if that's a permanent or a constant fixture in his game now. But I thought he was excellent.
It harkens back to a little bit of what Brad and I were screaming at the top of our lungs about in the bonus overtime last episode of, if you have that size, I'm putting this a lot more diplomatically, but if you have that size in the NHL, unless you are putting up superstar level numbers, it is your literal job to use that size. It's just physics. So yeah, it's good to see him throw the body around. If you're not, Tom Wilson, that's fine. Not everyone can be that tough. Not everyone can throw him like Kastelic, but you can use your size and you can bring that element to your game without giving up the offensive part of it.
Yeah.
Like that's the current NHL. Like it's a copycat league. Who is everyone trying to copy? They're trying to copy the Florida Panthers. That's what they do. But I agree with you. I did notice Soderblom a lot more that game. And
if that's going to be his game at the NHL level, like, production be damned, I think could carve out a nice career. Like, that's tough to play against. That grinds other teams down.
Yes, 100% it does. So Detroit opens scoring. Beautiful stretch pass by Albert Johansson from essentially like his own hash marks or red line. Banks it, gives it to a streaking James Van Riemsdyk.
Of course.
Who's turning back the clock and just snipes it against Jeremy Swayman, caught him cheating and just picked his spot. Like, that in and of itself was beautiful. And JVR, I thought, has been playing really great in a depth role of late. And then a little later, undressed Hampus Lindholm, which is something in and of itself, and very nearly scored one of the goals of the year so far, too. Like, JVR was feeling it last night.
He was having a good night. And I think I heard Mickey say Anytime JVR's on the ice, give him the puck because he might have himself a night.
100%. Yeah, you have to give it to him. Like, that was pure flow state. Like, that is countless games of NHL experience. Like, he knew what to do out there.
He even had almost another beautiful primary assist towards the end of the game. But yeah, because it would have been near the end because Korpisalo was in and he robbed Danielson on his one-timer opportunity that JVR gave him. So if he can get into that flow state a little more often, that will go a long way to solving a lot of the Red Wings' depth issues.
It's not like JVR has been doing this like game in, game out all year, but in terms of what he's bringing in a depth role and on and off the ice, and you can see, like we talked recently about, he's the guy to say, okay, no one else is going to grab this dude in a scrum than I am. I love what he's bringing to the Red Wings. That's the kind of, low cost relative to his cost, high impact.
Didn't bring him in to, light the world on fire, be a speedster out there. Like, you can tell, you've seen it. He's great in and around the net. Like, his hands are still so good. And he's great sort of in that one-on-one, man-on-man type offense. Like, he can still get around guys. He can still pick some corners. And if he's going to bring a little bit of leadership and a little bit of culture, then yeah, he's been awesome so far.
Detroit actually made it 2-0 off of a Moritz Seider shot that got through a really good Andrew Kopp screen with Kane and DeBrincat assisting. And that was Detroit's first 2-goal lead since the end of a game 2 calendar weeks prior.
Yeah, that's good.
2 weeks since they'd had a 2-goal lead. When Prashanth wrote that, I was like, oh, okay. I thought it felt a little bit long since they had that kind of comfortability, and then he put that out there. I'm like, yeah, that tracks quite a bit. And Detroit actually made it 3-0 off a DeBrincat shot that beat Jeremy Swayman, one that he wanted back. And that was kind of the first sign that you knew, okay, Detroit's firing on all cylinders here offensively, but at the same time, this is a different Jeremy Swayman that they got last game. He was rattled. He was letting things through that he shouldn't have, and they had an opportunity to get in on him. And I mean, spoiler, they did, of course, but they were capitalizing on it, which is good. They weren't making a hero of him when he was kind of selling earlier in the game.
Feels like recently a lot of the games the Red Wings are letting the other goalies put together their Vezina nod, trying to get some Vezina votes. So it was good to see them actually finishing. Like, Red Wings have been making other teams' goalies have good nights. It was nice to see that they were capitalizing on Jeremy Swayman's off night.
There was a scrum later on that really irked me, and it was Edvinsson and Eyssimont to start, and Eyssimont was driving the net, and just, as players who agitate do, Eyssimont was doing his job. He went in and got his stick up and, it rode up Edvinsson's arm, and it got up in his, head neck area, and he just kept pushing and gave it the little bit of extra. And Edvinsson, obviously, they needed to not get bullied around that game, so Edvinsson went back and just did what he does a lot of the times, with one hand grabs a smaller guy and just drops him, drags him down. And then a whole scrum breaks out. Yeah, great, awesome. And then Edvinsson gets the extra. And I'm like, okay, am I going to call it the craziest thing in the world for the Red Wings player in that situation to get the extra? No, I understand retaliations often get penalized more than the initial, physicality or roughing or whatever it was. But you can't shake the image of Kastelic going after Seider the previous game and him not getting an instigator.
And then you're assuming that there's standardization amongst the officiating group, so that's a big stretch.
And I was like, oh man, Detroit was doing a good job this game, and are the referees going to litigate out their response and allow Boston to take over? And it was a bit concerning, and I got to tell you what else was concerning was the first career goal. Stop me if you've heard this one.
That is the one thing I forgot to mention when I said quintessential Red Wings game. Is an opposing team's player does something of the first time in their career. Yeah, that one was rough.
Jonathan Aspero scores his first career goal, and that might be the worst John Gibson goal we've seen this year, and that is saying something.
An unscreened point shot from a guy who's never scored a goal in the NHL before.
That could be any one of us. That statement could be applied to any one of us.
Are you talking about we could have made that save, or
I'll let that goal in for half the money?
I meant also score. Unscreened shot went in. That could be any of us.
And the puck was fluttering. That's what my slap shot looked like when I played. I wasn't strong. I didn't know that you can. It looked like there wasn't any body to get through. He was in position. I don't know how that beat him. maybe that's one of those freak things, but it's like at this point, when it rains, it pours bad goals against Gibson. It's like
that one was tough because you're like, is that going to be a confidence killer? Like, we're already just walking the tightest of threads right now, keeping John Gibson in a game like that. Yeah, that was tough.
The way that one went in, my immediate thought was a 3-0 lead isn't enough.
no,
They need so many more.
as evidenced by Alex Steves scoring 4 minutes later to make it 3-2, and I think we were all thinking like, oh,
Here we go.
oh boy. And then who else other than Ben Chiarot?
Here comes our knight in shining armor.
He looks the part too. Give that man, I know it's a contract year. You're all right to shout that. And you know what I say? Extend him 1 year at a time. Extend him 1 year at a time until he's done.
If it's always a contract year for Ben Chiarot, he'll be a perennial all-star.
I'm all for it, man. And you know what? Like, I loved Mickey going back and showing how that play developed, because Ben Chiarot, he is so fun to have on your team. Just throws a nasty little bit of interference, sets a pick for himself, gets the open space, takes the pass from Larkin, and just fires it home. And you're like, oh, that's the kind of cheating, that's the kind of dirty you want on your team.
We're seeing the best version of Ben Chiarot in a Red Wings jersey in his tenure so far.
I'm not even kidding when I say extend him a year at a time. Like,
he would never do it, and I'm sure teams would, if this is how the year's going to go, there will be lots of suitors for him. But the Red Wings, I think, should absolutely lock him down at this point.
34 years old. You give him a couple years.
The way Brad Marchand's going to be playing until he's 45, apparently. Like, guys are just hanging around forever now.
John Tavares until he's 50, although at that rate, he might then just drop below a point per game player.
Maybe.
With how he's playing. But no, in all seriousness, that was a huge, mentally, that was a huge goal to go up 4-2 before the end of the second period. I also want to add, Prashant gave another stat regarding the 2-goal lead, which makes things even funnier here. That is the first game with a 2+ first period goals since October 28th against St. Louis.
So not even a lead, just 2 goals in a period?
Yeah, 2 or more.
Oh
when are the good stats coming?
2026, I hope.
Oh, we're close.
When in 20? Actually, don't answer that question. Third period, power play goal, and this was just clinical. You could slow that down to the tunes of just the two of us. It was Kane to Seider to Raymond for a gorgeous, gorgeous power play goal. Detroit goes up 5-2, and you're like, there you go. 3-goal lead in the third. That's never gone poorly for Detroit. But it did look like, it wasn't like the Buffalo game where Detroit was, struggling. I felt like they were the better team over Boston, but then Kuznetsov scores. And then with, 12 seconds left, Steves scores again.
I've never had a longer 9 seconds in my life.
I have.
And then, and then I think as Kenner Mickey was saying, if the Red Wings win the center ice face-off after the goal, the game's essentially over. Boston has never won a cleaner draw in their life. It looked like a tape-to-tape pass. And I was like, oh my God, here we go.
That fourth goal, Larkin should have had that puck cleared. That should have been out of the zone. No way they should have even had that opportunity. So that needs to be stated first and foremost before I harp on the goalie. For the second time this game, Gibson was in position. His pad was where it needed to be. Steves shot the puck. And then he was lifting a gate out of the way, he let the puck in where his pad just was a microsecond prior. There's, 9 of however many games for Gibson where he's allowed 4 more goals this season?
Oh.
I understand that wasn't a perfect game from the Red Wings, skaters on the ice. That wasn't a 5-4 game. It should not have been that close. Holy man.
I think that last goal dropped him 890, 895 for the game.
Unbelievable. That was his first win since that October 28th game against St. Louis. He went the entire month of November without a win. The Red Wings certainly didn't help him, but it's not like there were a lot of efforts where he was out there saving everything. I really hate, just leaning on the goalie this much because the Red Wings have had their problems and we've talked at length about it, but this was very nearly a game where points were left on the board yet again. If Detroit's offense wasn't firing on all cylinders tonight, then my God, this would have been another, lost opportunity in the standings against the Atlantic.
Should I read the stat that Prashanth basically used to say good morning to us today?
Yeah.
You guys are really just throwing Prashanth under the bus right now.
Yeah, I know. We should.
Well,
Here's another great Prashanth stat. The Red
Well,
Wings haven't
he's-
won a game since the Cold War.
So John Gibson, amongst goalies who have played at least 14 games,
This is a baseball stat already.
has the 5th worst save percentage in the last 20 years.
That is almost the Cold War.
That's a couple Cold Wars.
Yeah.
So obviously lots of season left to change that. But oh my God, that is bad with a capital B.
And I just checked. Yeah, it's 9 of 14 games this season where he's let in 4 or more goals. Some of those games, like it's the Red Wings, were bad. Like they certainly didn't help either him or Talbot. But it's getting to a point here.
We need just average.
This team has its struggles. This team is not cut out for playoff hockey as it is right now. They need to correct a lot of things. And you might be thinking, okay, this team has overperformed in the standings. They're not finishing well, and they're not getting saves. So I don't really think you can say with too much like intensity in an argument that they are overperforming. Like, I think their strengths are their strengths. I think their weaknesses in terms of their skaters are definitely their weaknesses, but that doesn't put them as far at a range as their goaltending has put them this year. That's why when I look at stats and I look at things like PDO and whatever, and everyone is expecting a regression, I'm like, I don't know that I see it between the pipes, at least from that end. You can talk about shooting talent on this team and what have you, but I don't know so far that I've been inspired to say, yes, the saves are going to come. Maybe Gibson just needs time. Maybe he needs to shake off rust. But which way does Talbot trend as the year goes on?
That's one of the big things, right? And Red Wings have the worst goal differential in the Atlantics, and it's not particularly close. So you hope that it gets figured out somehow, but you really hope it's not Cam Talbot sort of comes back to earth. And I know that his overall stats aren't great, but I mean, from an eye test perspective, I think he's kept the Red Wings in a lot of games. You hope Gibson's improvement or regression to some sort of mean isn't at the expense of Cam Talbot going the other way.
Yeah, like he was at his best that game when the Red Wings were really clogging up lanes and blocking shots. Bernard Docker blocked a ton of shots and opportunities that game. And
So he's at his best when he wasn't the one making the saves, is what you're saying?
oh, I mean, I think good teams make their goalies' lives easy and allow them to get settled, and that way they're ready and warmed up when they need to make a big save. For sure. Like I think it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But also, it's not like the moment that stops, then you not only do you not get the big save, like you're missing some routine ones now. You've seen Gibson be capable of big saves, and you've seen him in moments, be able to take over and just stop a bunch of quality shots. But whether puck trickled over the line or was fired to the back of the net by Alex Ovechkin, the goals count all the same, and you need to put together 60 minutes. It's tough right now. There's so much anxiety. And if you feel that as a fan, what does the team in front feel too, right?
It's only going to get, if the Red Wings kind of keep hanging around the Atlantic and the Atlantic continues to just have a mid-off, like that concern or that pressure is only going to get worse as the games start to mean more, as the playoff picture starts to come together a little bit.
Again, I know it's harping a lot on one guy, but there's no avoiding the reality of what Detroit's facing, where it's just like, yeah, you have to work on what's out there with your 5 guys in front of your goalie, but goaltending too, you just need to have average. Just average. Who do I fight for average? My God, I'll go fight Kastelic for average. I'll get dropped for that. If it buys us 41 games of a 906 or whatever league average is right now,
sign me up.
Don't threaten me with a good time, I could use a nap. Anyhow, Detroit did hang on for the 5-4 win. Longest 9 seconds of Evan's life, or 12 seconds or whatever it was. And that was a good way to cap off a stretch of games there at home by and large, as they are now looking at a long bout here on the road. So upcoming, they have Columbus, Seattle, Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, and Chicago all on the road through the end of next week. So there's a West Coast road trip in there. They, start and end with Columbus and Chicago, but still it's a lot of time away. And did they capitalize on their stretch of home games? Not exactly. They stayed more or less afloat. They had to eat into a little bit of their buffer and cash that in, but by no means are they out of things. Far, far from it. But now they have a tough test and need to continue to ride that momentum from that game, which is good because I think from the third period of the previous Boston game onwards, they had a lot of really good things going for them. So that was the Red Wings game. Big story from that game, though. I think Detroit's best player is Mo Seider, and what a statement for him.
He needed that.
Yes. Yeah, he did. Not only was he physical again, and actually I should say the Red Wings overall were physical. Kasper, putting his weight into Zadorov, who was trying to hit him. Finnie wasn't afraid to get in there. Zadorov got, 4 minutes in the 10-minute misconduct for elbowing Seider in the face. Kastelic was trying to pick something with Kasper and ended up getting his stick between the legs, which I cannot stand that play. Maybe I'm weird, but I just cannot stand sticking another man in the nuts on the ice. Just cross-check him in the arm like a grown-up, He got, 2 minutes, and he got tossed for that one. So the Red Wings hung in there despite Boston trying to muck it up. Credit to the refs, who I initially wasn't happy with, but then they made sure that game didn't get out of hand. And
Garrett Rank loves sending guys home.
Oh, yeah.
That's his favorite, is just giving out misconducts. I love it.
I was honestly, with the Edvinsson extra penalty tonight, I'm like, what are we looking at here? But then he started, throwing out those misconducts. I'm like, okay.
He's pro player, It's like, hey, you're getting paid either way. Let's take a little bit of time off.
Yeah, it's Evan Lopsinger.
Hit the shower. Right, yeah, that's my mentality.
Yeah.
He's pro player.
Hand up to Rank and the crew. They were good in the end. But Seider, a goal and 2 assists, and that was one of his best games of the season. Sure, you might think of a couple of bad ones here and there, but by and large, he has been phenomenal this season.
It was a great game for his Norris candidacy. And even the analytics now are starting to come around and love Mo Seider. Dom did whatever his model spits out for Norris rankings. Seider was in the top 10. A legitimate candidate, one of the top defensemen in the league right now. And mostly when he's had good analytics over the years, it's been his defensive metrics. And especially this year's defensive metrics were elite at the beginning of the year, but the offense wasn't there. And now he's 11 or 12 points in his last 13 games or something along those lines. So the offense is starting to come around. His passing looks cleaner. Even on the Lucas Raymond goal, it's been a while since I've seen him execute that one-touch pass cleanly, and that was a staple of their power play. So it's good to see he's feeling it and back in that rhythm again, and he's shooting a lot more, which we've always, not always, but for the last couple of years, wondered why he doesn't shoot the puck more. Well, I think Max in his article today pointed that Seider's shot quantity per game this year was up dramatically from last year, which is a good sign. Pucks are starting to drop for him. He hasn't lost his physical play. He hasn't lost his defensive edge, but the offense is coming. And last night you saw the best of all angles of Mo Seider.
And to come back and have that game after what happened in the game prior, that's strong mentality. I know a lot of people had a lot of words for, Seider's physicality or his toughness after losing that fight. But we had a lot of words about, overall how that fight went. And from a team perspective, you're not going to find a lot of guys at Seider's level who are fighters to the level of Kastelic is, but you needed him to come back and still maintain his game. And not only did he do that with physicality, he did it on the scoreboard, and that's huge because that would beat a lot of guys up mentally. That's hard to see played back. That's hard to get laughed at on the ice about, but he came out there and he put that to rest against the same team.
Yeah, who, when you beat up one guy and then you play them again in a few days, you feel like you've won and you're we can just keep going at this guy and really make his life hell. But yeah, like you said, that was a great sort of mentality game, good statement game for Moritz Seider, because I'm sure a lot of players would have just tried to find the trap door and, be a perimeter guy and not get involved and just try and regain their confidence. But he went out there and just played his game and made the most of it. So that's a good sign to see that Seider's, not letting it phase him one bit.
which is what the Red Wings need from their best players. Because again, we've talked about their struggles and their depth. You can't have your best players going away. You see what happens on the scoreboard when that happens. Shout out to Patrick Kane, who I believe tied the record for most multi-point games by an American-born player with Mike Modano. Lucas Raymond is on, a 6-game point streak. You continue to see contributions from him, Larkin, DeBrincat, Kane. Like, things are coming together. I think Emmitt Finnie's had a nice few games as well, with a lot of really good moments. In terms of offensive confidence especially, like, he's not at the caliber of the other top 6 players. That's obvious. Like, that's not what he's there to be. But he's working at being in the right places at the right time and making the right plays. And there's been a lot of like nice passing plays where Finnie was an integral part of it. So that's good to see him kind of shake out a little bit of the nerves he's had and be part of that process rather than just trying to, like Evan said, stay in the perimeter and stay out of the way. Like, no, it's important that he's a cog in that system. All right. Well, that's the Red Wings game. We mentioned what's coming up. We are going to be back with you on Sunday with our next episode. Plenty more from the world of the Red Wings, but first, a word from the sponsors of the Winged Wheel podcast. Back after this. Welcome back. Quinn Hughes. Maybe his value is real low, as you were saying before the episode, Brad, after that pitiful display defending.
It looks like he's mentally checked out of Vancouver already. Maybe, jump on the opportunity now.
Maybe it's something in the water in Vancouver. JT Miller is still fighting it. He brought it to New York with him. Quinn Hughes, like, maybe it's not the guys. Maybe it's just the Vancouver water.
Got to get him out of there before he gets too infected.
That's right.
Make the trade now.
He just has the saddest eyes. He just constantly looks so sad, and you're like, maybe he looks like that, but I've not seen him not in a Canucks uniform in the NHL, so who knows? He could perk up. But there's been a lot of chatter on Quinn Hughes, especially with respect to Detroit, with some, big names talking about him. And it begs the question, where you dig into things and you're like, okay, is this just speculation? Because Quinn Hughes is, as evidenced by his play on the ice, he's looking like he's checking out more and more. He's been very open about, if we were winning, this wouldn't even be a question, which in and of itself confirms he's like, I need to win, otherwise I don't want to be here. So this isn't just empty noise, but has anything actually moved? Because, Jeff Merrick's mentioned, I think, a couple times on the sheet, and there's, Friedge talked about it, and a lot of other people talked about it in terms of Quinn Hughes and Detroit being a fit. And here's my understanding. Based on all the information that I could, confirm and trust, everyone and their mother is in on Quinn Hughes, of course. Like, anyone who can even dream of adding him to their cap sheet and giving up the pieces that they need to for him, they've called Vancouver about Quinn Hughes, dating back quite a while. I think of those teams, Detroit is as heavy on it and has been as heavy on it as any other team, but that doesn't mean that they are like the runaway favorite or there's anything in place. I don't think it's anywhere close to that at all. I think they are around it. I think very obviously they would love to have Quinn Hughes and would be, ready to be in the bidding war for a player of his caliber. But I don't think from Vancouver's end, I don't think from Quinn Hughes' end, anything has shifted to the point of having made that decision. And I don't think Detroit has done anything materially different than they've been doing over the past however many months, where they've been checking in on this and making sure that they're on top of it. That's about as much as I think is out there. Everything else to me is just math. Detroit has the assets. Vancouver wants centers. Detroit has centers. You're not really talking about Larkin because it's the same kind of conversation as Raymond, where it's like, okay, you give up Larkin, then you're just...
They want to get younger anyway, right? Vancouver, yeah. If they give up Quinn Hughes, they want to get younger, and Dylan Larkin does not fit that sort of rebuild timeline.
No, you wouldn't be able to take advantage of that. And for Detroit, it's like, okay, I added in this massive piece, but I got rid of another huge one. So this team isn't really much better at all in the standings. But they have Kasper, they have Danielson, they have other pieces because Vancouver wants guys who can play center at the NHL level. Not only that, the connection to Michigan and Detroit for Hughes personally. And the one other thing I've heard is that, it doesn't necessarily have to be New Jersey for Hughes. Maybe it's going to be because that's the natural option with his brothers over there, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. and you just look at what teams can make this work cap-wise, asset-wise, where Quinn Hughes would want to go, if not New Jersey, that's just math to me. So I would love to sit here and say there's been a lot of smoke, and that means there's fire. There might be, but I think if there is a fire, it's been the same very small one that's been burning for months now.
I hate to sound like a broken record, though. The Red Wings don't have the option of not being in on it when players like this come available. I like your point about there's certain players you basically can't include in the trade because then it's a lateral move. You plug one hole by creating another one. So you look at Larkin, you look at Raymond, you look at Seider. If any of those guys are involved in the trade, no point. I would even almost argue Edvinsson at that point.
That's exact. I'm like 3.5 guys is where.
Yeah, like
calling Edvinsson the half is funny considering his size, but that's about where I'm at.
Exactly. Anybody else you can move, and it's a much easier hole to plug. So you do it. I think the biggest advantage Detroit has over everybody is unless there's a team that's willing to do something really stupid, I don't see who can outbid Detroit. They have not just the quality of prospects. There are other teams who have just as good, if not better, prospects and young NHL players than the Red Wings. But most of those teams aren't willing to give up those players in this deal because they're not as, for lack of a better word, desperate as the Red Wings. But the Red Wings can offer up these premium pieces and it doesn't deplete their system like it would other teams. You know, I can't think of a team off the top of my head right now, but if you go to some of the better teams in the league and they trade their best prospect, their second best prospect, and a first-round pick, they have nothing left.
Yeah.
They better win in the next couple of years because they got nothing else coming through. The Red Wings could trade Danielson and Kasper and a first-round pick, and you're still looking down the system going, oh, there's still a lot of solutions coming through. They still have Max Plante. They still have Buchelnikov. They still have Carter Bear. It's like, yeah, you hate to lose guys like that, but you're not getting Quinn Hughes without that. So in terms of the bidding war, if Vancouver goes, it's a first-round pick, it's a premium young NHL center, and it's your top prospect, the Red Wings can go check, check, check. 4 other teams can go, we can also do that, and then the Red Wings can go, all right, well, we can add another good prospect. And the other teams, most teams can't. And I think that's the edge they have. So I will just put it out there. If this trade happens by some miracle, every Red Wings fan should be prepared for the sticker shock.
Oh, yeah.
It's the only way the Red Wings are getting him is they are paying.
They might get Evan in the deal, honestly.
I get to go to live in Vancouver? As long as they're paying me, it's fine.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be a discount for you, but or it'd be a
for that.
pay
Yes.
drop,
Yeah,
yeah.
you know, we can work something out.
But the sticker shock will be, it'll be there. The value will seem almost unreasonable, but that is how you get players like Quinn Hughes.
Well, if it's first round pick, top prospect in a center, I don't think that's unreasonable at all. Like, I think it'd be like, okay.
Well, that's what I'm thinking is I'm thinking that's going to be the price, but I'm thinking there's going to be 5 other teams that are able to match that, including New Jersey, which means you now have to outbid and out-entice New Jersey because the Red Wings aren't making this trade if they have no inkling that they can extend Quinn Hughes.
And I think I absolutely agree, but I also think there's going to be contenders who are like, we'll just empty the cupboard and we'll give you, like, let's say, for example, they want to move Simon Nemec. They're like, we'll give you him because if we can bring Quinn Hughes in, that means we get to keep Jack and Luke forever. They're like, that's invaluable to them. Like, there's going to be teams that are like, sure, the Red Wings can do X, Y, and Z. They're like, we'll add in NHL proven talent.
But then you have the nuclear option. You add in Edvinsson. I think as you negotiate, you say Edvinsson's one of the 4 untouchables. And if some team is going to go absolutely ballistic, you say, okay, you get your future NHL center, you have your first round pick, and we're going to upgrade this player to Simon Edvinsson. Then I struggle to see what contender could match that because what's their first round pick can be worth? What are their prospects going to be worth? Like,
this is why the trades take forever.
Yeah. And I mean, these guys they're just boring. They're not exactly the most imaginative people in the world. Can't remember if it was on or off air, but we were talking about how some of the dumbest players we've ever known off ice were some of the smartest players on ice. Like Drew Doughty has unreal hockey IQ, but that guy is, that's a hockey guy off the ice. I promise you that much.
Well, we're talking about contracts and, clauses and whatnot, and the best players in hockey can't read. So now that they're all GMs, they have to get the audio version of them. So it just takes a lot longer.
Those who can no longer play GM and those who can no longer play and can't GM, they host podcasts.
That's right. Yeah.
I know this conversation seems inane. A lot of people are going to be saying, why are you even talking about this? It's so unlikely. A lot of people are going to be saying, like, the price is too high. A lot of people are going to be saying it's automatically New Jersey. And look, I think all of those things are probably true to varying degrees, but at the same time, it goes back to what Brad said. These opportunities don't come up, period. Like, this is almost a once in a generation type of player available via trade at this point in his career. And there's the caveat we have to mention every time of, like, you have to be certain in casual conversation with Quinn and his agent that he would extend in Detroit, because he's in that funky spot where they couldn't extend him upon a trade. They would have to wait until July 1st, which isn't great because you can't guarantee it. But these players don't come up. It just doesn't happen. Furthermore, again, what Brad said, Detroit is at a crossroads, and it looks like they are already really far down the one fork. They need to do something to add to take advantage of this kind of window broadly, while Larkin is still at a great age to produce, and taking advantage of very cost-efficient years from Seider and Raymond and upcoming Edvinsson. Like, it just makes too much sense. So it might drive you crazy to hear about this. And I was the one who told you that it's a lot of smoke right now, but I'm not calling it fire. But at the same time, I don't think it's empty noise. I think this is a real thing that the Red Wings and the rest of the league are chasing.
I think the other big thing as well is the Atlantic division itself. Like, it is a crapshoot right now. There's the best, other than Tampa. Everyone expected, Florida was going to have a down year due to injuries. Toronto has basically self-imploded. Like, now is the time to try and make the playoffs. And adding a guy like Quinn Hughes will help you separate from the pretty mushy Atlantic division.
Yeah, the Red Wings went on a 3-game losing streak, 4-game if you count the OT loss, and free fall, and the sky was falling, and the Red Wings were in what felt like 27th place. They're back in the divisional seat after 1 win and 1 OT loss.
The Atlantic is so stupid.
And, you bring in Quinn Hughes, yeah, the price probably is going to hurt, but if you make the playoffs, I just talked about the invaluable addition Quinn Hughes would be to New Jersey. The Red Wings make the playoffs. You've got Danielson in the playoffs. Well, maybe Danielson in the playoffs. You got Emmitt Finnie in the playoffs. You got Dylan Larkin back in the playoffs. You got all these young guys who have never been in the playoffs. The Wing Wheel podcast will have its second iteration of playoffs in 10 years. You're getting a lot more out of it than just managing assets.
That's going to be our hopes and dreams for now. So, with apologies, but you got to dream big in this league. Those who allow themselves to be in the mushy middle, well, that's where they stay. Okay, let's jump over to league news, or should I say non-league news. We've talked about the arena in Milan not being as far down the road of construction as it should be. The NHL is getting a bit concerned. All parties are a bit concerned. But
unless you're Italian. Italians are not concerned.
Then you're just like, I'll do it later. It's breakfast right now. And after breakfast, you're like, I just finished breakfast. Let me have my cigarette, which is actually part of the breakfast. So, but something else that came out, and I shouldn't say came out because apparently this was out there for a while and we just missed it, but the rink is actually going to be 3 1/4 or something like that feet too short. It was supposed to be not Olympic size. It was going to be NHL size ice, which I personally loved for this upcoming Olympics. The games are faster and more intense, and I think a little bit more physical and creates a bit more chaos. Turns out they took it a step further.
Even more intense and physical.
The IIHF apparently approved this rink that is over 3 feet too short, which did technically violate an agreement between the IOC and the NHL and NHLPA and everything, but it's like, okay, it's not the craziest thing in the world. Like, these guys have all played at different sized ices over the years. Anyone who grew up playing hockey, you probably had a rink in some town that you went and traveled to at some point where you're like, that's a different size ice, and it's either like way more close quarters or you're gassed because it's way bigger. But it's looking to be a little bit of a gong show over in Italy.
I don't have any serious thoughts on this other than it's just every update we get on the arena is just more and more hilarious. We're 2 months from the Olympics, basically. Now we're finding out the dimensions aren't right. They're not even close to done the rink. I don't know. Do any of the canals freeze over in Italy? Is that where they're going to play? This is going to be the 1908 Olympics?
No, I don't think you can rely on.
They're playing in Venice.
Yeah. Yeah, the one team's end is on 32nd Street and the other team's net's on 43rd Street. I'm making up street names, but
Yeah, I don't think that's how they do their grid over there.
It's actually XXXI Street.
There's no backup either. They keep saying there's no backup plan.
That's always good.
Yeah,
I love when very expensive high stakes plans don't have contingency plans. Those are my favorite.
Something tells me there's not a scrum master on this project.
No.
If the NHL yet again doesn't go to the Olympics, I'm going out that window.
That's what all of this makes. I'm not nervous that this might get rug pulled at the last minute, but it makes me slightly unsettled because I think this is a big deal, especially for a league that's run by lawyers. And when a contract or an agreement kind of gets muddled and things get, I don't know how to say it, but like what they agreed to is not what's being delivered. I think the NHL thinks this is a huge deal.
And it's coming at a great expense to them. Like,
oh yeah,
we've criticized them, but their concerns are real. These are their assets that make the league money going to play for a program that is not the NHL. They don't benefit from this directly. They do benefit from it from advertising the game of hockey. But there are massive issues here in terms of teams trying to make playoff runs, insurance policies, like the health of these players. Guys are going to come home with bad injuries, and it's going to affect their NHL teams. And the NHL is eating that. They didn't for a long time, so I'm not, carving them a statue quite yet here. But it took a lot to get the NHL here to agree to make this happen again.
And it always just feels like the owners are looking for any excuse to be like, well, we tried, but our partner is not negotiating and not doing this in good faith, and like they just aren't, playing ball. So when we see that the rink is They have somehow did a rounding error when they converted from metric to imperial, and that it's not even going to, like, they're rushing to get the arena done. If a couple big name players get hurt and their season's done, I think that puts the next Olympics in a bad spot.
If you take all 3 or 4 feet or whatever it's off and just make the neutral zone that much smaller, you have to take Tom Wilson on the team then, right?
Yeah.
That becomes a murder zone.
Yes. Yeah, you have that much less ice to work with. Oh my God. The boys are going to love it. Like they're going to have an absolute blast out there for sure. But also another thing that's been talked about, okay, you can talk about the size of the ice, whatever. They're going to adjust. It might be a little bit weird, but it'll be fine. The quality of the ice is actually a big issue. There's no ice pad out there yet. It's going to be very hard to manage the quality of that ice. It's not an easy thing to do. Anyone who's worked in an arena, whether you're, managing a high-end ice pad that, semi-pro or better teams play on, or if just, your local barn and you're just flooding the ice, the importance of facilities and temperatures and the building settling and all those kind of foundations being in place. They're going to get this done, like a month at best before the most important international games for the next 4 years are being played. That ice is not going to be up to scuff. I'd be shocked if it was.
It'll be fine. They'll turn the oscillating fan setting from 4 to 5.
Yeah, they better get one of those, what are they called, big-ass fans up there?
And it's not like NHL teams or rinks can send their guys over to help facilitate that process, right? Like they've got their own arenas to manage because we're in the middle of the season. So
Yeah.
I'm nervous.
Yeah, me too.
It'll all be fine. Let's just take the Italian mindset. It'll all be fine.
It'll work out.
Yeah.
I don't know if I told you when we were there, our first place we stayed was in Rome, and they said something like, "Hey, tell us if the AC isn't getting cool enough because there's construction across the street and it's affected our power." And I thought, that's a funny thing. And I thought, very privileged life. I was like, the power's either on or off. And the first night we slept, and I was like sweltering. I did not sleep a wink. I saw God that night. And I was like, the fan is going. Like I can feel something like cool air. And it turns out it just was like very weak power, like just not enough power. And I was like, okay, yeah, that was my introduction to Italian infrastructure right then and there.
Yeah.
And I told them about it. They said, tell us right away and we'll fix it. I told them about it at 9 the next morning. And then it took them 30 hours. And then they brought an oscillating fan into the room.
Problem solved.
They didn't even fix the AC.
Problem solved.
Another update, this going back to the Red Wings world. Dmitry Buchelnikov had, I think it was Hockey News Hub reported, had surgery on his shoulder and he'll be out until at least February, which sucks. He was
Always good
going
news.
well, but at the silver lining, it's February, so you hope that it's the shorter end of that timeline, but not ideal. That's a guy who relies on his shot that's his calling card, but you're not really panicking yet. I've heard some people ask about Buchelnikov. As far as I know, the plan is still to come over this summer in preparation for next year. I've not heard any indications otherwise. I really do think that he is interested and keen in following through and coming to Detroit. So all that remains to be seen. But for now, just hoping that he has a good recovery and can get back on track. And also, you mentioned Max Plante earlier, Brad. I think it bears repeating. That guy's a dude.
He's on fire.
That's a player. He's got his quirks for sure. And how quickly he makes it, I don't know. But the more he plays, the more I'm like, I don't know that this guy needs all that much development before he can make an impact at the NHL level, honestly.
I think I saw someone say that, not like that it was a report or anything, they were just theorizing, but depending how far UMD goes, if Detroit's still kicking around in meaningful games, does he just get a look?
Maybe.
Do they pull him out of
Happened with
college?
Cale Makar, which he will certainly be of same caliber.
Yeah, just on forward, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. If it's not with Detroit too, maybe even with Grand Rapids.
Well, they're primed to go deep the way their season's looking.
All right. Those are our league notes and beyond. We're going to take another quick break, and when we're back, the final segment on this episode of the Wing Wheel Podcast. Back after this.
We're going to overtime.
Overtime is brought to you by our Patreon supporters, patreon.com/wingedwheelpodcast. If you want to support the show, join the Dub Club. You get the bonus episodes, all of our rants, our bloopers, our outtakes, thoughts with Evan. Might even give you his personal address if you contribute enough. You also get access to the Discord, all of our giveaways, 2 tickets to every Detroit Red Wings home game, and lots more. So again, patreon.com/wingedwheelpodcast. Let's take some questions and comments from our patrons. Joseph Barry says, what would you guys consider the road trip to be a success for the team going forward? If on that road trip they maintain a 500 points percentage, I am not upset.
Given the teams they're playing, I think it's got to be better than that. No powerhouses here, especially with the way Edmonton's been playing. I will say my baseline is 3-2-1.
But look how close the Atlantic is.
To be considered successful.
Yeah. Look how close the Atlantic is.
500 is never successful. That's last place in the Atlantic right now.
Or it's 2 points out of the first in the Atlantic. Like, you're not, if they come back from this road trip and they're still not out of it, I'm happy. Because they've been pretty far out of it before, to the tune of needing 2 7-game win streaks last season to even get back in it.
3-2-1.
Tough question to answer because we're talking about the ever inconsistent Detroit Red Wings. Are we going to see last game Red Wings, or are we going to see last game Red Wings? So,
can I have both?
I think to, not be overly optimistic, I think 500 and better is where the mindset should be.
The other part of it, also a not so fun stat, is Marco Kasper went the entire month of November without a single point.
Oh my God.
John Gibson went the entire month of November without a win, which is bad, but it's not really talked about a lot. Marco Kasper went the entire month of November without a point. That's not
the Red
good.
Wings need to be able to play the Red Wings.
That'd be great.
John Gibson would put his Vezina nod together. Marco Kasper would have a hat trick or a Gordie Howe hat trick.
Well, no, John Gibson would solve Marco Kasper's problems. Like, get over the blue line and shoot it, young fella. There you go. Slump busted.
2 goals against LA on October 30th. Those were his last points.
So he had 2 goals like him. So he's only recorded points in 2 out of
27 games.
Oh my God.
The second game of the season and the 11th game of the season.
That is not a sophomore slump. That is something else entirely.
I think it's a sophomore slump, but it's a bad one. We were talking
It's the
before.
worst one I've ever seen.
Like, the thing is, it's not like he had a small sample size last year. We saw him play a certain way consistently, and you can say his shooting percentage was going to come down. We expected that. But, man, 3 goals, no assists through 27 games. It's weird because we actually think he's playing... I'm not going to sit here and say he's playing good. He's not playing well. But he's not playing atrociously. This guy is absolutely snake-bitten. Not in terms of bad luck, but like he is in his own head. He's gripping his stick. He flowed with the game last year. He was a force in the game, and he was way more instinctual of a player last year, I felt, and he just kind of flowed with it and used himself as a force to affect the game. And this year, you can see him overthinking his way around the ice, and he's had a few gray days, and he's had a few opportunities that were off of his passes for sure that just got stopped. Like, I don't think you go an entire month without points without some bad luck, but I don't think that's the explanation. I think he's just freezing up.
And it's not like he's unplayable. Like, there's some guys on this team or in the league where it's like, if you're not producing, you are unplayable because you just can't do anything else. I honestly think Marco Kasper has been, pretty good all around the ice. The points just haven't been there. And at some point you have to produce. That's the nature of the game. And I think it will come. It's just, we're at the low of the low, but I truthfully don't think he's been like that. I don't think it's been as bad as it looks.
No, I agree. It's kind of bizarre. Without paying attention, if you said he went that entire month without points, I'd be like, that's weird. I don't think he was Lucas Raymond out there, but I certainly didn't think he was, okay, we're going to start, there's no reason to start dunking on guys.
7 names came to my head and I wanted to know which one to
It's
say.
like Mr. Burns, all the diseases, trying to get through the door at the same time. Jack's dad says, lots of chatter from you guys regarding Max Plante, and for good reason, but I wonder if there are any parallels with Taro Hirose. How would you compare and contrast the two, and what does Plante need to do to ensure he doesn't suffer the same fate as Taco?
I think Plante plays with a lot more pace than Hirose did. Hirose was the classic, did everything right. You can get away with slow foot speed, which obviously was his issue, but he just could not process the game at the NHL speed fast enough, but obviously could at the NCAA and AHL level. And there's still the possibility that Plante could have the same issue. I will say the eye test looks like he plays a bit faster. He's got a wonky skating stride, but he's not slow.
You can work on that.
Yeah, and his we talk about that give and go style of offense where you're just kind of everything you do in the offensive zone just happens quick, whether it's a pass, a shot, a read, and he's strong at that aspect of the game, which is what gives me hope it can translate. I'm not saying he'll be a 80-point guy in the NHL, but a 40, 50-point third liner who plays on the power play, that's very on the table for him.
I don't even like trying to give point ranges at this point because I think a guy who has an elite level talent like his playmaking is, I'm not putting a ceiling on that. Is it likely that he ends up as an 80-point guy? No, but it never really is for guys who aren't first-round picks. But yeah, I think, sure, you can always point to guys like him and say they could end up like Taro Hirose. That's always a risk. You never know how they can...
Or he could be Nick Backstrom. Who knows?
Yeah. Right? Like, there's the pace aspect of it, but there's also the mental aspect of it. Can you execute the same game with so much less time and space? And I know that's inherently linked to pace, but it's just like, how does the physicality of the game affect how you think the game? Are you out there confident enough doing the same things? So far, you like what you see from Max Plante. He plays like a dog. Like, he is an absolute like warrior out there. So the hype is worthwhile, but you can't put a ceiling and you can't put a floor on it. It's still way too early. Named after the perfect human, and I should have attached this to the first question, said, man, Marco Kasper needs an empty netter real badly. I was hoping he'd get one last night once Boston pulled their goalie. It's crazy to think how hard the sophomore slump has hit this guy, but I still have hope that he'll turn things around on the production front sooner rather than later. A player with his type of motor can't stay quiet forever. You know, Mickey pointed out Patrick Kane talking to him on the bench, and those are the kinds of things that I think are really important right now, that he is keeping the confidence of his experienced teammates. And not only that, like, we talk about, if Detroit got a save, how much better would they be this season? If Detroit had another viable second line center and Marco Kasper like they did last year, they would also be multiple standings points better in my mind.
Hey, Andrew Kopp looked good last night.
He did. No, he did. But imagine having 3.
Ryan, let's not get crazy here.
Yeah, that actually is the most insane, stupid thing I've said on this show.
We haven't had 2 good centers for a prolonged stretch in the history of this podcast. Now you want 3?
Last year was about as close as it got, but Larkin got bad after the 4 nations. So Rasmussen and Petrie on a 2-0 breakaway says, do you think, based on how the season has gone, that Edvinsson's extension might come cheaper than you expected going into the season? I think he's been good, but Seider has certainly put to rest the notion that they're in similar tiers with his play this year. To a degree, yeah, I agree with that notion. I
want to say yes, and everything in the Red Wings sphere says yes, but then again, you can't ignore the Luke Hughes, Jackson Lacombe, Lane Hudson contracts as what are definitely going to be used as comparables.
Sure, but even then, it's like, okay, that range is as a function of a percentage of the cap. I don't think it's going to get outrageous. I think it's going to stay under Seider in terms of percentage of the cap when he signed, for sure. And I think there's an outside shot you might even get him to stay at like that number, despite the cap going up.
Yeah, I think you guys are both right. Like, it's all data points and how you use it in your negotiations, right? I'm sure Steve Yzerman's like, nope, this is Moritz Seider. He's our best defenseman. You know that that's true. I know that that's true. And they're going to be like, well, by percentage of cap, he should make more. Look at all these comparables. So I think it'll be somewhere in that area. And that's where, the GMs and the agents really make their money.
Billable hours.
Yep.
Always the winner. Evans RBF says, is Kane's lack of production due to his line mates this year or father time? Because he's having a slow year. I doubt he'd re-sign here next year. Also, you guys were my top podcast on Spotify. I'll let you 3 decide if this is a good or bad thing. Thanks for all the laughs this year in hockey knowledge. You guys are slowly getting us through this rebuild. Thank you, Evans RBF. To all of you who've been sending your Spotify Wrapped, thank you. We love to see that. We apologize. You're supposed to get a thank you message from us. It just didn't work out this year, but we'll make up for it next year. But do send us when we're in your Spotify Wrapped. We love to see it, and it's appreciated more than we can articulate, mostly because we don't do words real good on this show. But is Kane slowing down, or is this a function of his line mates? Age-old question.
Yes, that is the answer.
I think he's slowing down to a degree.
Not a ton. We're not talking 20%, but
we've seen him adapt around that already very quickly. And I would not be surprised that the moment he gets a consistent center who does what he wants, whether it's Kasper or anyone else, you're going to see the production. And his production's not been bad. Like, he's been really heating up again of late. Like, that guy's also been snake bitten in terms of goal lately too.
When Jonathan Quick hooked his stick on an empty net from the goal line, it broke him for a while.
That was a curse. Yeah, that was a curse.
Yeah, the eye test hasn't been great lately with Patrick Kane, but yeah, I agree. Like, if we can find a center that can really push the pace and really kind of make Patrick Kane's life a little bit easier, I think things will all be right in the universe again.
Sean Trainer, there's a bunch of Hughes questions here. Sean Trainer says, so when we get Hughes, manifesting it as when, not if.
Which Hughes?
You pick.
Okay.
Expensive Hughes. Good Hughes, bad Hughes.
So I think all the Hugheses by a dollar amount, is Quinn the cheapest?
Yes.
And Luke is the most expensive?
Right now, yes.
Then
that feels backwards.
So Jack is the bad? Or can people have multiple tags?
Jack is the average.
Yeah, Quinn Hughes, 7.85. Luke Hughes just signed, what was it, the $9 million deal?
Yeah, and Jack makes 8.
Yeah. Huh. Well, that's not right. Do you think they make Luke pay for everything? Like
they friggin' better.
You buy the
He's the youngest brother too, right?
Yeah.
Oh, they absolutely do.
You're buying the chicken Caesar wraps at the turn at the golf course.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Jack Hughes is on his. I forgot about his 8x8. Yeah, that's right. Do you rotate in power play quarterbacks mid game? Right now, we have ASP and Seider as our main locks. I think Edvinsson has also rotated in a bit. When you have Hughes, is it possible that mid game, based on minutes played, that a coach would rotate ASP in for Seider in for Hughes? If you're adding Quinn Hughes, he is your
PB1.
Yes.
There's a non-zero chance he plays 2 minutes of every power play. You just don't take him off the ice on the power play.
That's exactly what you want, because you want Seider playing those hard defensive minutes while trying to produce as well. Like, you're not bringing in Quinn Hughes to be a shutdown defenseman. You're bringing him in
Evidently not.
You have to push the play and produce and help the offense out. Like, he plays 2 minutes in the power play. Moritz Seider's PP2. And if ASP catches fire, then he can be PP2, and you can just play Moritz Seider 100% of 5-on-5 time.
Can you imagine having those four to pick from for... Okay, Hughes is power play 1. You have Seider, ASP, Edvinsson to pick for power play 2.
Cool.
I would
put all three on the second unit. I don't
steak
care.
too juicy, lobster too buttery. Like, who's complaining about that?
I would bet a significant amount of money that if we trade for Quinn Hughes, we will not have all those defensemen on the roster. One of them will be in Vancouver.
Yeah, ASP or Edvinsson.
In all likelihood.
On that note, Finnie's hot and I'm ready. I'm just reading these out for fun at this rate. It says, who says no? Quinn Hughes for ASP, Carter Bear, and Nate Danielson. I don't think Vancouver's saying no to that.
I think that's probably pretty close to the real price.
That, if I might say it, is that getting into overpay?
You're only getting him if you overpay.
Right, but
that's what I was trying to explain earlier.
But I don't know. I guess it all depends. You don't know the other teams that are involved, right? Like if other teams are like, we can't do this, or blah 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 blah, or Quinn Hughes is like, unofficially, I'm not re-signing with all these teams but one. It's like, okay,
then the prices drop.
The team's like, all right, here you go. Here's, I don't know, Travis Salmon.
hey, whoa.
And a fourth.
Oh, there's the fourth to seal it.
Exactly, the sweetener.
Yeah, we would never know for sure, but the price between trading for Quinn Hughes and trading for Quinn Hughes with wink, wink, nudge, nudge, yes, I'm going to sign, here's our term, is a vastly different price.
Yeah.
And I think until the trade, if it ever happens, if it materializes, then you kind of know. Like, if it's not quite the sticker shock you thought, and there's probably some conversations being had.
Like, if it's for a year and a half of Quinn Hughes, it's like a first-round pick your second best prospect and your fifth best prospect. If it's for 9 years of Quinn Hughes or 7 years of Quinn Hughes, you're giving up your three best assets that aren't in the, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Johnny Cleaver says, with all the talk about getting Quinn Hughes, it would likely include one or two of the rookies on the team, right? How does the locker room handle that kind of shakeup when the rookies have been so big for the season? And would that be a concern at all to Steve?
Bro, you've got Quinn Hughes walking into the locker room who was a heart consideration before he got hurt last year. Like, you forget those rookies' names almost immediately. Unfortunately, that's how it goes.
Yeah, hate to say it. Like, the guys love the rookies in the room, and they love the energy. If you let the guys pick who to give up, they would pick the rookies because they have the least amount of personal connection with them. And that sounds harsh, but like, these guys want to win now. And rookies are great and they're excited about the future. But Quinn Hughes means win now. Dylan Larkin, who is not getting younger, knows that Quinn Hughes gives him a better chance at the Stanley Cup than, ASP or Emmitt Finnie or Carter Bear or any of these guys do. He's said almost as much in the past, like, yeah, rookies and prospects are great, but when, I've not played in the playoffs since I started my career. Like, when am I going to win?
Do you want the boat or the mystery box?
Well, the mystery box could be anything.
It could even be a boat.
All right, last one here, really important one. Red Wing Girl 16 says, LCA food question. I almost always get the nachos, but I believe Evan said he gets the poutine fries. Where are those at in the arena?
I do not say that.
I've never been more devastated in my life that the only semblance of a reputation that I could ever have.
That's the only character trait you have is you're the poutine guy.
Has been misattributed to you. This is like when, I don't know if people know this. I did an interview and it was in the New York Times. And do you remember this?
No.
I've told you the story 5 times. It must be great being Evan. I did an interview about the Red Wings. They just, chat
If
with
there's
someone.
no context to that, you just said I had an interview at the New York Times. That is hilarious.
No, it gets good.
He got into politics. He's a correspondent for Pick, whatever outlet you want to
hockey
pick.
politics. And I was like, this is a pretty cool thing. And it was someone who's passionate about writing a column, and it was about the up-and-coming Red Wings, and a lot of feature on Moritz Seider. And instead of Ryan Hanna of the Winged Wheel podcast, they wrote Evan Lobsinger.
So I'm in the New York Times.
You're in the New York Times. You're in the New York.
Well, you have to find that. Please.
I do.
I need to.
So
you need to send that.
It's
to me.
since been corrected, so the digital version, but you can get like
It was printed.
Yeah, it's the New York Times, Evan.
Oh, I don't know anymore. Like who's picking up a newspaper with their hands?
If the last one to go
there
will
an
probably be
audio
the Times. So, yeah, we can.
New Yorkers, that's the answer. It would be New Yorkers.
So they can't redo the print, and so if I were to order the print of this day's New York Times, it would say Evan Lobsinger.
Can you please send that to me so that I can order it?
I've been actually meaning to order it and give it to you framed as a gift for a while.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
And I'm like, it doesn't matter, but I'm like, that is so funny because
that does matter though. That's hilarious.
What better evidence do you need to know about like the level of care Evan has the moment the mic stops recording than this is easily the fourth time I've told him this story.
This is just like a university exam.
Yeah.
Once I put my
gone.
pencil down, that knowledge is completely gone forever.
It must be so nice. He gets to experience the joy of finding out over and over again.
How like reading books and watching TV. Sorry, not the first one. That was a stupid thing to say.
Hearing books.
Yeah.
Hearing books.
Watching TV series must be incredible for you.
10-second Tom over here.
How many times have you watched Band of Brothers?
Oh God. Well, I mean, that's a bad one to pick because every time you watch it, it just gets better and better. But
yeah.
I think I've watched that series like maybe 8 or 9 times.
I would love to watch Succession again for the first time.
I've never watched that.
How would you know?
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Or have you?
It's like Memento, the guy who has like the short-term or long-term memory loss. I just have sticky notes everywhere.
Yes.
Bald guy cannot be trusted.
Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. Anyhow, sorry, to answer the question. They are in the district market. When you walk into the district market, it's the food place on the right, and it's the poutine with the deep fried cheese curds. They're great. You might not need to eat anything for the next 3 days, but they're amazing.
I was so rattled. First of all, one of my favorite TikTokers, apparently was a big Red Wings guy, and the Red Wings just put a ton of content up with him.
Yeah.
His chef reactions.
We got to get him on the show.
I love that guy. But either way, I knew a lot of the good food options in the LCA, and then watching his reviews and like tour through, I'm missing so much. I'm like, oh, that looks incredible. Didn't know that was a thing there.
Look
at that. Didn't know that.
We went to the mixing board the other game, the Gravy Boat game, and the ramen actually looked incredible.
Winged Wheel Podcast LCA food tour coming soon. We're going to do it.
Oh,
all right.
God, yes.
All right, folks, we're going to wrap up this episode of the Winged Wheel Podcast. You just got a little sneak preview of what overtime is like. So if you want to...
No, we didn't swear.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a little bit different. If you want to tune into those bonus overtimes, check us out, patreon.com/windwheelpodcast. And if you want to support us, but Patreon's not for you, that's totally okay. Just by tuning in and telling your friend about the show and subscribing wherever you get your podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever. Leave a rating, a review, a thumbs up, the stars, a heart, the like button, and all of that really does help us out a ton. Tell us if we're on your Spotify Wrapped. So thank you again for tuning in. To all of the sponsors of the Winged Wheel Podcast, we can't thank you enough. And to the name level supporters on Patreon, this show only happens because of you. Arjun Shankar, Yves Bartels on behalf of the Sarah Grand Foundation, Aikfer, Martin Norberg, THL Champ, Samuel Soderholm, Icon, Glenn Brabham, Rain Dano, Below Average Ball Hockey Goalie, Sea Lion, Darb EQ, Matthew M. Rice, Bengo Bango, Hassam Al-Qassem, Asher Killian, Kaylin Wood, Alex Toger, That's What I Appreciate About You, Derek Enstam, Matt McKay, Andy Hardcore, Sam Bankston, Citizen High Five, R.A., Aaron Hudson, Admiral Matt S., The Cheesebag Navy, The El Cato, Stephen Ortlieb, Jonathan Miller, Give Blood Fight Probert, DJ Denton, Carl, Brutan Nanolewski, Jay Gollum, John Ingalls, CB55, Connor Scovey, Adams Louisa, Adam Rose, I Miss Pew Suter, Steve R., Hockeytown Matt, Mr. Kuzi, Chaotic Monkey, Craig Kibble, Eyes Are Playing Stan, Clip Clop, Nene, Now I Have to Learn How to Click on a Macintosh, Podgy713, Unapologetic, Gibson Truther, Griffin Knott from Grand Rapids, Marty, Causey, the OG13, Jeff, Pridemore, Eric Hill, Butts Carlton, Best James Bond, Beer League Legend, Alec, Mark Hernandez, Slim Smitty Cards, Grand Rapids Girly, Anna Sleeman, William, Mike, Asher, Chris Black, August, Brian Munn, Improved But Flawed, Chris 99 Jones, Putting on the Moritz, Trevor, Centerfit, General Andy Bohan of the Cheesebag Army, Quaz, Dylan Larkin Trade Sacrifice, I Want Off This Roller Coaster But Not Really, Matt Keeler, Linda Hall, Connor Leighton, As Good As It Jingles, Jeremiah Dobo, Josh Yelton, Brad Simmons, Darren Fick, Bex, The Hodag, Pastor Jake, more like Master Jake, Commander Ben Baron, the Cheesebag Space Force, Sandin-Pellikka's Pet Pelican, Griffey Boy, JM Rhapsody, Frank Stanley, Rosie Posey, That Other Guy, Pucking Puck, Carl Thames, Nairno, The Hat 123, Stephen A. Ron, Corey Prida, All Motor No Hands, Gene Sullivan, Sandy, I'm not reading that one, Sandy A. Pelican, James Pridemore, Upernadian, Drop the Puck, Eric Nance, Ann Stanislavski, Jim, Bellingham Massive Balls, Wings Fan in St. Louis, Scott, Johnny Page, Lucas Raymond, Cops, Gump Lip, Trent Thorough, Grepsky, Evan Beckner, Return of Jambo, C.E. Hayes, Finney to the Rafters, Jacob Marsh, Falkness, Fight Night at the Joe, Axels, Sandy Pelican, The Octopi's Ninth Leg, Finney the Pooh, and your second favorite patron. Thank you all so very much. We will talk to you Sunday.
Thanks for tuning in to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Be sure to visit wingedwheelpodcast.com, where you'll find links to subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll also find ways to support the show, like Patreon, official podcast merchandise, and more. And don't forget to follow us on X at WingedWheelPod, at Ryan Hanna, WWP, at Brad Crisco, and at Hockeytown Evan, as well as Winged Wheel Podcast on Instagram.
This message is brought to you by Greenlight Lending. Are you facing financial red lights on your home ownership journey? Don't have money for a down payment or closing costs? Struggling with your current mortgage payment or other debt obligations? Or maybe you have a complicated situation like credit challenges or self-employment income? At Greenlight Lending, they turn those red lights green with creative mortgage solutions for purchase and refinance loans. Their team crafts personalized plans with flexible closing cost options, competitive brokered rates, and innovative loan programs tailored to your needs. Whether it's finding the right loan or guiding you through the process, they're here to help you score your home ownership goals. Let's get you out of the penalty box and into the game. Head to gogreenlightlending.com to explore solutions or call Nick directly at 586-321-1888 for your customized plan. All loans are subject to credit approval, terms, and conditions. Rates and programs vary. Contact for details. Greenlight Lending, lighting the way to your financial future. NMLS 2676683, an equal housing opportunity lender, proud sponsor of the Winged Wheel Podcast.